last few weeks, we've talked to quite a few heroes who've been doing extraordinary things in the wake of Hurricanes Harvey and Irma. Roll that tape.
We decided to put out a Facebook post that Gallery Furniture would become a shelter as we had been during Hurricane Katrina for the New Orleans evacuees. So we had 400 people come in that night.
How many people did you rescue?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you, to be honest with you. We've been doing it for several days.
My uncle had showed up in a boat, and after that, we just went from there helping people in the neighborhood.
We got all together. We went and made, over 100 pizzas. We put them in our brand new bags to keep them hot, and we got them out there. That was the only way for us to get it to them. We knew that there were hungry people back there.
Whose idea was it to bring them on board for a flood rescue?
Well, in Texas, we have high trucks everywhere. But once we realized that we were driving in waters that even our normally high trucks couldn't get to, we knew we needed bigger artillery.
Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Mike Rowe is with us, former Dirty Jobs host and founder of the mikeroweWORKS Foundation. I felt real good about those broadcasts. I thought it was America at its best. As a newly minted American citizen, I loved it. How about you?
Well, I'm just flattered. I mean, thank you. It's if I'm going to have a legacy, I would just as soon it be an honest portrayal of hardworking men and women day in and day out, not just in the wake of a disaster, but for their daily bread, doing the kinds of jobs that make civilized life possible for the rest of us. Every problem that you and I have talked about in the past regarding the skills gap and infrastructure and manufacturing, in my humble view, it all begins with a conspicuous lack of appreciation and understanding of that particular part of our workforce.
Yes.
We ignore that at our peril.
You've been ignored. Those people who showed up so well in Texas and Florida have been ignored in our culture for a generation. The elites don't want to know them. I know I'm being kind of pejorative here, but that's the way I see it, Mike, and I'm kind of steamed about it too.
Well, look, and I appreciate your passion for it. Personally, I don't disagree, but I do think that the unintended consequence of elevating and celebrating and pushing one form of education at the expense of all the others, those chickens have come home to roost. A college education is a wonderful thing. I wouldn't trade the one that I have, but to promote that education like it's the best path for the most people and to use all the other forms as cautionary tales, that sets the table in a way that ultimately is going to leave us with a lopsided workforce. And my guess is when the waters recede and the real work begins 5-6 months from now, this shortage that we've talked about in the past is going to become acute in ways that we just can't imagine.
Mike Rowe, tell me about that again, because there's an enormous rebuilding job coming up in Texas and Florida, and then we've got the huge infrastructure plan. Tell me about the skills gap. Don't we have the skilled people that we will need?
We don't. And I'm not a mathematician, but I'm tempted to say it really is just math. There were 267,000 openings in the construction trades prior to Harvey. The tradesmen that are going to have to rebuild, and women who are going to have to rebuild Houston and Florida, they're not there. They're going to have to come from other parts of the country. And when they essentially migrate to that part of the country to do the work, they're going to create even more alarming shortages and deficits from wherever it is they left. The skills gap is real. We have 6.2 million jobs right now that are open. Over 70% of them don't require a 4-year degree. They require training. They require enthusiasm. Believe it or not, I've often said the skills gap really starts with a will gap. So we're not looking at these jobs in an aspirational way. We're not encouraging our kids to see them for the path to prosperity that they can be. And consequently, you're going to see more nuns with chainsaws out there doing whatever they can do to put this thing back together again.
You're right. You are dead right on this.